Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be going over how to read a pay stub. If you recently started working or this is your first job, first of all, congratulations, that is awesome. I'm sure it feels great to get paid. I remember when I first got my paycheck, I was over the moon, but I was also a little bit confused with the pay stub that came attached with it. I really didn't know how to read the deductions and what each of them meant. And if you were in the same boat that I was, that's exactly what we're going to be going through in this video. We're going to be looking at a sample pay stub and going through by category on what everything means and hopefully answer any questions you have. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we need to do is actually get our pay stub. So either you've received your paycheck and your pay stub through the mail and you have a paper copy. So go ahead and grab it so you can kind of look through it as we go through the sample pay stub together, or your pay stub is going to be on an online platform. Now, if you have decided to have your paycheck be directly deposited into a bank account, your pay stub is most likely on an online portal that your company uses for all its HR needs. This is probably the same portal where you can see your sick balance, where you request time off, that kind of thing. So you should be able to access your pay stub on that same online portal. Now, if you don't know where to access your pay stub and you have direct deposit, email your HR department and they should be able to help you on where to access it. It's really important to actually look at your pay stub because that has all the information of where your hard-earned money is going. We're going to be using this sample pay stub in order to understand the different categories that this type of document has. Every pay stub has a little bit of variability depending on the organization, but this sample pay stub has a lot of the standard things that you should also be seeing on your pay stub. So starting with just general information, normally on the top, usually on the left, is employer information. So that's the name of the company, the address of the company, and also the tax ID number. And below that is going to be the employee information. So that is your name, your address, your social security number. Somewhere along the pay stub, you're also going to see the pay breakdown. And so you're going to see two things. You're going to see the pay type, which tells you whether you're hourly or salaried. And then you're going to see the pay rate per hour. This is when you first signed up for the job and it said, okay, it's going to be $20 per hour. This is what you should be seeing, the pay rate. Even if you're salaried, you're going to see some type of pay rate per hour. And then you're going to have the number of hours worked. In this sample pay stub, it's 80 hours because if you look just to the right of it, the pay period is from July 5th to July 16th, which means it's a 2-week pay period. So 40 hours the first week, 40 hours the second week, a total of 80 hours. All right. And if we do the pay rate, which is $20 per hour, times the amount of hours worked, 80 hours, you're going to get a grand total of $1,600 or your gross pay. Your gross pay is just another word of saying how much you make before any type of deductions. All right, now let's get to the meat of the pay stub, the deductions column. The first thing that you're going to see in the deductions column is something called federal withholding or federal tax. When we talk about income tax, this is the tax that we're talking about. This is a percentage that the government takes of every working person's income in order to fund government programs such as military, education, infrastructure, and any other public program that we can all benefit from. Income tax is dependent on your income. So if you have a higher income, you're going to be taxed at a higher percentage rate. If you have a lower income, you're going to be taxed at a lower percentage rate. Currently, the income tax brackets start at 10% and then go all the way up to 37%. Now, in this example, the person is working at $20 an hour, and so their tax rate is going to be roughly around 12%. And it's precisely 12.5% in this pay stub. The next thing that you're going to see is something called Social Security or Medicare. Next to Social Security and Medicare, you may be seeing something called FICA. FICA stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act, and that is the umbrella term for Social Security and Medicare. Let's take a closer look at Social Security. Social Security is also known as the Old Age, Survivors, and Disability Insurance. While that is a mouthful, it is much more descriptive of a term of what Social Security actually does. The whole idea is that the government takes 6.2% of every working person's income and puts it into this Social Security bucket. Then people who qualify for Social Security, survivors, older people in retirement, and people who have disabilities may receive a paycheck from this very same Social Security bucket. Now, in recent times, you may have heard that the Social Security fund is going to run out. It's projected to run out in the next decade or the next 2 decades. We won't be going into that in this video, but the whole theory behind Social Security is that the working generation funds the retirement of the older generations. And as the working generation gets older, the newer generation will fund the retirement of the older generation. Medicare works very similar to Social Security. Medicare is the government's health insurance program for people who are older than 65. The thing about Social Security and Medicare is that both the employee and employer are taxed for it. So while the government charges you 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare, your employer is taxed at those same rates to help fund these exact same programs. Moving along the deductions column, you may be seeing something like state withholding or state tax. This is basically specific state tax on your income that helps fund state programs. Not every state has a separate tax on income. This pay stub takes place in California, and in California, you are taxed from your state on your income. Every state has different policies and different regulations, so I've just put in there as an example in case your pay stub looks similar to this. At this point, I would like to differentiate the different sections of a deductions column. Normally, the top half of the deductions column refers to taxes that help fund government programs. The bottom half of the deductions column is money that you are putting aside that is directly going to benefit you at some point. So for example, you may be seeing a 401k line item or retirement line item. This is money that you are putting aside for retirement if you have chosen to contribute to your 401k at your current workplace. A 401k is a pre-tax retirement account. You may also be seeing an employer contribution. So if your employer matches a certain percentage of your 401k, for example, like 5%, 10%, you will be also seeing how much they're contributing to your 401k on your pay stub. Below that, we have a line item for medical, health, and dental. So if you are paying out of pocket for your premium on your health insurance or your dental insurance, this is where you'll be seeing it. Now, if you are under the age of 27 in the United States, you're technically allowed to be on your parents' health insurance until the age of 26. So if you're not seeing this line item, that might be the reason. All right, moving right below that is the snapshot summary. Every pay stub has this kind of summarized view of your gross pay, your total deductions, and your net pay. So our gross pay is our hourly rate multiplied by the amount of hours we worked. So in this case, it was $1,600, minus our deductions, which was $498.40, and then our net pay, which is $1,101.60. Our net pay is just about 70% of our gross pay, and that's not always the case, but it's normally around there. Anywhere from 60 to 80% is what you're actually going to end up in your pocket, so to speak. So the net pay is what the paycheck is actually written for. The net pay is what is actually deposited into your bank account. All right, that is it. You now know how to read a pay stub. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe below. If you have any questions or have any feedback, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and write me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.